taking this from another perspective, Phil Gregory joins me now, the founder and editor of Black Presence website, who argues that Black History Month has never been more relevant. Phil, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, Maria. Thank you.
And as you heard there, Black History Month apparently as relevant as it ever was, and you are on a one-man mission to ensure that it gets the respect it deserves, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say I'm on a one-man mission. I think there are a lot of people out there who work very hard, inside their cities and their communities to raise the profile of Black history, and particularly Black history in Britain, because it's been painted out of the history books. If you look through any books at school, if you go into your school, you can't find references to the achievements of Black people. And that was what actually pushed me to make the website in 1998, because I couldn't find anything about Black British achievement.
Well, I've put this point to Michael Etienne, who's with me, the Black and Minority Ethnic Representative at the University of Nottingham. Your website, by definition, the Black Presence website, is going to be visited by people who I assume already have an interest in Black history. So are you preaching to the converted?
I don't think so. I mean, over the years, I have been in touch with lots of people regarding Black history, talks on Black history. I work in schools with school children doing talks about slavery and taking them to the Slavery Museum in Liverpool. The thing is, a lot of people simply don't know Black history because it's not out there. The Black history that they're exposed to generally is Martin Luther King, slavery, and Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, anything that's African American. And what I wanted to do when I started the website is to say to people, did you know that there were Black people living in this country centuries ago? And here are some of them. Now, I'm not a great academic, so I just wanted to whet people's appetites and say, here's a little bit about this person. And if you look at these websites or these books, you can find out more.
So for you setting up the website, you're trying, as you said, to kind of whet people's appetites. But the point of Black History Month is to kind of educate, to entertain, to get people interested as they want to find out more. Is that your aim of Black History Month through the Black Presence website? Are you trying to get people to whet their appetites to go on and kind of educate themselves as far as possible?
Well, absolutely. It's definitely about going more. But it's about starting somewhere. My point of setting up Black Presence was simply, let's start somewhere. If you don't know anything, then how can you make a start? So when I wanted to when I was doing my degree, part of the course was a module called the Black Presence in Britain. Hence, that's what my website was originally called. I didn't know anything about Black people living in Britain before the early 1950s. I didn't know we were here. And most Black and mixed race people I speak to didn't know that either. I mean, some people are very conscious. They follow African history. They're into Black history that I haven't even touched on. But I was focusing on what it means to be Black in Britain and to have pride in our achievements, what we've done here,
Well, Michael, I'll put this to you in that case. Shouldn't we be pushing for Black History Month to be mainstreamed? Are we not accepting the tokenistic nature of having a month dedicated to our history? Is Black history not world history?
You took the words exactly out of my mouth. As I was preparing for our chat, this is exactly what I was thinking. And there are people who are going to be out there and they're going to be saying, at these times of economic difficulty, we shouldn't be spending money on certain activities, or we shouldn't be spending as much money. Well, it would be a fantastic idea if the Education Minister, Mr. Gove, sat down and decided that instead of seeking to change the history syllabus to actually reduce the references to Black history, he realised that you'd actually save money by putting it where it should belong, which isn't a month in October or February. It's as a fundamental part of the world history syllabus in schools.
Absolutely.
You cannot talk about world history without talking about the African impact and the impact that that continent has had, and the slavery is in the concept of time is such a very small part of it. and it should be the cornerstone. And it shouldn't just be a case of young black people educating themselves about their history, although that is what we should do. It's something that everyone should learn. And I think some people are threatened a little bit by Black History Month. But they'd be a lot less threatened if it was, as I said, if it was kept in its rightful place. African history is world history. If you're going to have a pretense that you're going to have an education system that teaches you about world history, then let's talk about world history properly. And not just world history in the transatlantic slave trade. Let's talk about the African civilizations and the African successes we had long before colonialisation.
Well, as part of that argument, Phil, how would you respond to claims that if we are going to accept Black History Month as a 1 month thing, we almost are accepting the fact that we will be sidelined? If we want this to be part of mainstream education, why are we accepting just a month? Why are we pushing this for just a month?
Well, I heard this argument and I saw it very strongly on on Friday. I was following the Twitter stream and people were saying, well, Black history isn't just a month. I celebrate my history all year round. And now that's good if you're coming from a position where you are taught your own history, you're conscious of your own history. But surely that's keeping it very separate. Now, as Michael said, it should be integrated into the education system. And I feel that it should certainly be integrated within the history books that we've got access to. But until that happens, where do we start? Do we just disband with Black History Month and say, we're not going to do anything anymore because we want it to be integrated? Well, that's not going to just happen overnight, is it? I think we sort of need to raise awareness, make Black History Month non-exclusive, because my Asian friends and my white friends can come along to the events and have a good time. And the website is there to share that knowledge with everybody, to find out about figures like Walter Tull, who served in the First World War in a British battalion, and Arthur Wharton, who was one of the first black goalkeepers almost 100 years ago. And people don't know that, whether they're black or white. But he should be there in footballing history, not specifically black history. If we don't talk about him in Black History Month, when does he get mentioned?
Phil Gregory, thank you very much for joining us on BBC Radio Nottingham.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, if you'd like to find out more, do visit the website, details of which will be given to you very shortly. But first, let's take a look at your weather in Nottinghamshire.